Good morning all. As discussed, so in this video I will explain you the each line of code which is written to perform the ASP.NET CRUD operations. Okay. So there are two parts of this video. Part 1, in the part 1 I have covered the insert and the get method, and the second part, update and delete method, is covered. So if you haven't watched, so do check it out this video. I will provide you the link in the description. Okay. So So, as discussed, we know these are the basic steps to complete the CRUD operations, right? To perform the CRUD operations. First, we're going to design the ASPX page, and then connectivity, followed by the functionality. That is the code. And we're going to review the code. Okay, we will understand each line of code which is written. Okay, so basically, this is the, as you can see here, this is my default.aspx page. Okay, followed by the web config file. Okay, so containing the connection string. Okay, and this is our default.aspx.cs file where we have written the, or where we have executed the code to perform the functionality or the CRUD operations. Okay, so these are the namespaces basically using system. Okay, followed by, these are unnecessary header files. As you can see, we can remove this. Okay, so these are the four header files which are being used here using system. Header files, or you may say the namespace, or you may say the libraries. These are all what we can say as the libraries basically. Okay, or we can say the namespace. Okay, followed by the as system.web.ui web controls, system.data.sql file. This header file we have used because we are using these three classes: the SQL connection, command, and data reader. Okay, followed by the system.configuration. As we are in each and every click event, we are setting up the connection. So, and that connection string we have added in the web config file. Okay, so as you can see here, so for that. Okay, so coming back to UI. Okay, as the user will enter, this is the student registration form, so user will enter the details and user will click on submit button. So what gonna happen? So this is the piece of code. Okay, just double click on that, automatically the event function will appear. So here I have written the code. Okay, so the first what I have done is, like, here we are just you may say the setting the connections, or you may say the, okay, retrieves retrieves the connections. Okay, so we have taken one string variable path, and inside that we are setting up the, assigning the connection, and here we are implementing our application with the database. So these are the three inbuilt classes. Okay, these are the database objects. Okay, SQL connection responsible for establishing the connection with this application, student CRUD application with the database. Our database is student CRUD. Okay, so this is our database. On the left side, I'm exploring this. As you can see, this is our database. Okay, so setting our application with the database. Okay, for that SQL connection class is responsible, and then SQL command. Okay, to execute the SQL statements, that is select, update, delete, insert. Okay, followed by the SQL data reader in order to fetch the row by row data. Okay, so what I have done here, three classes objects has been declared. Okay, and page load event. So not is if, inside the if condition, not is post back to break the page refresh. Okay, for every event, what here is happening, uh, an event is occurred, right? An event is get initialized on the submit button, login button, show, update, delete. Okay. So in order to reload for only for one time reload, and after that, if any event is get performed, to break that page reload. Okay. So for that we used to write this code. Okay. I mean write this if condition. Okay. And then coming back to our button click. Okay. Simply what we are doing, we are setting up the connection. Okay. And then con object equal to new SQL connection. Okay. And we are just opening the connection, con dot open. And then inside the string variable, insert data, writing the insert query in simple insert statement, insert into student details, columns followed by the values. Here values are taken in parameters because our value is coming from these text boxes, right? So from text box, that is control id dot text, okay, from text box to this parameter. So assigning values from text box to this parameter, for that we are using the com object, com dot parameters dot add with value, followed by the parameter name. Okay, this parameter name is nothing but this one. Okay, just there is a difference. Here we are using the at the rate, and here we are just mentioning the parameter name. Okay, here if you are mentioning the at, here we if you are mentioning the at the rate, still it will work. Okay, so this line of code is nothing but it takes the value from text box and it directly sends to this parameter, assigns to this parameter. So com is what the com is the object, SQL command object. Okay, so this is the line of code. And com dot execute non-query. Okay, this function is used for insert, update, and delete SQL statement. If you are functioning, if you are performing this function, I mean this SQL statement, then okay, okay, I have already written here. So then for insert, update, and delete operations, execute non-query function is used. Okay, as you can see here, it executes a transact SQL statement against the connection and turns the number of rows affected. Okay, so that is nothing but the simple code to in order to submit the data into the our students table, right? In students CRUD database, we have the student details to to save the data in the student details table. So this is the line of code. I hope you guys are getting. Let me know in the comment section. And then followed by the next button, let's say the show button. Okay, same logic again. We have to open the connection or we have to establish the connection, and then again take one variable inside that, write the SQL query. Here we are using the simple select query, and then again com object equal to new SQL command. Okay, SQL command takes two arguments. One is the variable containing the SQL query, another one is con. This is the connection object. Okay, simple. So here, what we are doing, we are just fetching the data. So for that, execute reader function is used. Simply com dot execute reader, because and assigning it in the dr object, and simply grid view has two properties. Okay, grid view, as we are using in as we are showing the data in the grid view. So grid view has two properties. Okay, one is the data source. Okay, is data source. Okay, and second one is the b part is the data bind. Okay, so simply grid view one dot data bind. Why grid view one? Because our grid view name is, as you can see here, it is grid view one. So grid view one dot data source. So this it contains the list of items. Okay, so dot data source equal to dr object. Okay, simply assigning the dr object to the data grid view one data source, and then binding the database. Why data bind function is used here? Because as if you want to see the source code here. Okay, as you may notice here in the text attribute, in the each column, okay, in the each text box, what we have done here, we have used the eval method here. Inside the text attribute, we have used the eval method, and this is column name is nothing but the student details column name. Okay, so we are binding the data, we are mapping the database, we are mapping the table columns with the grid view columns. So for that, grid view one dot data bind function, and then after that we are closing the dir, because if we will not close the dir dot close, I mean we will not close the dir, so this select query will run infinitely. Okay, so this is nothing but the show button logic. And then if we talk about the update method, simple, again we have to establish the connection, and here the naming container method is used. So why naming method? As discussed, because we are performing the event or action events inside the grid, right? So whatever events occurring inside the grid, naming container is used. Outside the grid, if we want to perform any events, then basically the then we have to use the for each loop. Okay, for outside events. Okay, naming container method for inside events. Okay, so here naming container is nothing but, so what is basically the naming container method? As you can see here, I have created the object for grid view row. Okay, so what it does, it creates an object for grid view. Why dot naming container? Because here what we are doing, we are performing an update button event inside the grid. So to figure out the button with respect to the grid view object, that is R1. Okay, so to identify the event where to perform, so for that what we have done, grid view row R1 equal to button sender, because we are performing the an event through button, right? So dot naming container as grid view, and then what we are doing, we are just mapping the text txt mobile txt city. Okay, so these are what text box here we have mentioned. Okay, so as here we are only updating the mobile and city, right? So mobile and city, go to the source code. As you can see here, this is the ID of txt mobile and txt city, right? So this particular ID we have given here to identify, and then again taken one string variable, we have written the update query, then com object. Okay, passing the values from text box to the parameter, right? So for that, again com dot param is add with value, and again here r1 dot cell 0. Why? Because as you can see, cells, it's plural word, so that it represents array, and index 0, read the data from cells. Why here cell 0? Because coming to the design part, as you can see here, id, we have in our student details also we have the id column, and that id column is nothing but here. So we want id to update the particular, because we need unique value, right? So here id is the unique value which uniquely represents the each row in the student details table. So we are taking the id1 from r1 dot cells, right? Cells is an array, so array starts with from index 0. So our id column is also in the 0th index, so r1 dot cells 0 dot text. Suppose, let's say, if our id column, instead of in 0th index, if our id column is in here instead of mobile column, if we have here the id column, then what would be our index? Our index will be here simply 2. But our first column is id column, so as cells is an array, so index starts with 0. Simple. And then again here we are dealing with the what, again update. So execute non-query function, because for execute non-query, for insert update and delete queries, this function is used basically. Okay, simple. And the last one, we have the delete method again. So here again, we are establishing the connection. Again, here naming method, because again, as you can see, your delete button is inside the grid view. So any event occurring inside the grid view, any button click and all. So again, naming container method. So again, creating an object, writing the delete query. Again, deleting here is based on the ID, unique value. So again, r1 dot cells dot zeroth index. Again, it's a delete operation, so execute not wait. Simple. I hope you guys are getting. Let me know in the comment section. So following these steps, our application is ready. So I would highly recommend to watch the part 1 and part 2 of ASP.NET CRUD operation in the web form for web form. So the motto of this video is to let you guys understand how the CRUD operations actually works. Okay, and here we are dealing with the directly with the database. As you can see, this is our application student CRUD, which is directly interacting with the database, right? So in this, what we have, just we have the database, right? We have the student CRUD. Inside that we have the student details. So we have the database to store the data. All CRUD data manipulation we are performing through the .NET, ASP.NET, right? So let me know in the comment section if you have any doubts. So I hope you guys are understood like why we have used this all classes and what is the purpose of each line of code. Let me know in the comment section if you have any doubts. So see you guys in the next video. Until then, thank you. Uh, Thanks for watching.